Sometimes we can have rational expressions with imaginary numbers involved. When that happens in math, it's considered unsimplified if the denominator has imaginary numbers in it. So we'd like to do what's called rationalize the denominator, and we can multiply the entire fraction by I over I, and this will have the effect of getting rid of the imaginary number in the denominator. So got to make sure to distribute that I to both terms in the numerator. And in our denominator, we'll have 2I squared. So this is going to give us 2I minus 3I squared over 2I squared. And we know that I squared can be replaced with a -1. So we'll have this. We also don't want a negative in our denominator in order for it to be considered totally simplified. So we should switch the signs of all the terms in the top and bottom. So it'll become -2I minus 3 over 2. That's very simplified. But with complex numbers, we often like to write them in the form of A plus BI, where the imaginary number is kept separate from the real part. So it looks like we'll have -3/2 minus 2 over 2I, which is just I. And that'd be a great way to report the answer. When there's addition and subtraction in a denominator involving a complex number, we may wish to multiply by the conjugate. The conjugate is similar to the original, but it has a different sign between the terms. So because our original is 1 plus I, our conjugate will be 1 minus I. Same terms, but different operation between them. Now we'll multiply. 1 over 1 plus I times 1 minus I over 1 minus I. All right, we're going to want to FOIL the denominator. So we'll do firsts, inners, outers, lasts. The firsts will be 1 times 1, so that's 1. The outers will be these, so 1 times -I. Then we'll do the inners, which is I times 1. And we'll do the lasts. I times -I is -I squared. You can see why the conjugate is used, because we're going to have these middle terms cancel, which is good for simplification. And we'll end up with 1 minus I over 1 minus I squared. I squared can be replaced with -1, but don't forget that there's a negative on the outside of the I squared, which makes it like a double negative when you replace I squared with -1. And we'll have 1 minus I over 1 plus 1, which is 2. And that's a fine way to write it. We could also write it as 1/2 minus 1/2 I.